Most of our people probably know the two of you already. You are so very well known in the world of smart cities and by association, also cybersecurity, because no smart city is smart truly without being secure. And you both have been such strong leaders and proponents of our community-driven movement. So appreciate it. Without further ado, Jonathan and Lily May, please, the floor is yours.
So good afternoon or good morning. What time? I'm delighted to join you here today to have the topic about cybersecurity, and in particular, smart cities are able to focus this moment, especially historic opportunity to be able to federal, local funding opportunity. I'm hoping that I'm not doing, but I am. A couple of things leaders can our city take advantage is a couple. We start with master agreement, and I think that's important to be able to build that relationship and strong, which allows to be able to partner with different entities to look at opportunities to be able to and expand our network. The other thing that we look at is also having a map, and when you look at both the hard and also the broadband app, sorry, a little bit of echo at my side. We've also with our hobbyists on policy making and also looking at availability. So we proactively joining the cybersecurity strategic plan at the city for grant applications for ready. And we also have looked at the fiscal year 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program. And so those are some of what's the regarding
Yeah, Lily, I'm going to step in here because maybe no one else is. We can't hear you. Yeah, we're just hearing every second or third word, so it's not actually working.
Okay.
So I wonder, maybe we could get some advice from Lan, or I could do my talk while we try to figure out what's going on with Lily's audio. Yeah, so
Lily, maybe you should restart the browser again and try.
Sounds good, Jonathan. Let's try that. And Sorka, maybe you can help troubleshoot with Lily in the green room. Sorry about that. Jonathan, then please.
Certainly. Okay. Well, yes, Lily is going to go and reboot there, and hopefully we figure out what's going on with her audio. And she'll be right back. She's got a lot of important things to say, and I'd love to hear from her. So I don't think that was really tolerable to have her continue like that. So, by the way, great to be here. Thanks, Lam, for the invite. Thanks to be part of this very important event. So where am I right now? What time is it? I am actually in Saudi Arabia in my hotel room. I've tried to make it look as best as I could like a little studio here. But I am in the capital city, Riyadh, city of 8 million people. And it's 11:32 at night. And I actually I'm looking pretty beat up now. I got up this morning at 4 a.m. to teach a class. And then I worked the entire day. And now I'm doing a keynote with you or a talk with you guys. So I'm looking exhausted. And to make matters worse, I got about an hour's sleep and then I'm taking another flight. So that's the life I've chosen, and I actually like it. But today was particularly bad. I'm thrilled to be alongside Lily. Well, certainly when she comes back. I was going to say that the last time I saw her was in January of this year. We had the chance to spend the day at CES in Las Vegas, and it was wonderful to see all the innovation through the eyes of a city mayor. And she's really quite progressive and contemporary and very knowledgeable. And on these subjects. So it was a really wonderful thing for us to do. So I must remind her of that. So actually, I'm at the very end of a 3-week tour. I've been to about 5 cities over the last 3 weeks working. I'm not on vacation, and all through Europe and the Middle East. And my last stop here is Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and then I'm heading to New York City in a few hours. So it's been really cool because if you want to understand cities and know what's going on in the world, you kind of have to visit them and you have to interface with them, and you got to talk to city leaders and community, and that's what I've been doing. And I wanted to actually spend my time sharing with you my experiences and observations about the smart communities movement globally right now from a first-person perspective, actually experiencing it beyond just research and second or third party. So, and then I will get briefly to the cybersecurity. So we see Lily's back. That's great.
Yes, kind of. I'm changed to a different computer. So.
Well, you know what? The audio and the video is great. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. No,
it's
it's
a
fabulous.
little bit higher. Now I'm on a different platform where I can stand, where I can.
I was just sharing with with our participants here that last time I spent some time with you, we were in Vegas at the CES event, and it was great to spend a bit of time with you and get your reflections on the things we were seeing and the innovation that was happening. So that was a wonderful experience. I didn't get into my substance here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back to you, because I think it was appropriate that you would start. And so if you're good with that, I'm going to pause and hand it back to you.
Sure. So I'll make it quick, because I know that we have a good presentation also from Dr. Reichental, as well as some question and answers. But I was saying that some of the things that cities can do right now in this rare opportunity is to be prepared. And I'm really proud that our city, many years ago, we started with this process of having a master license agreement. And people may not necessarily think that that is being critical, but it's a great way to lay a foundation of a straw man that you can utilize with your different vendors and third-party providers within the city. And so that helps to facilitate the connection. The other thing that we talked about is that we as a city have been involved with, I apologize, some of my notes went away when I was trying to reconnect, but partner with local lobbyists to determine timing of the funding availability. It's really critical for us to be proactive and prepare for our cybersecurity strategic plan at a city level. And there's opportunities for grant application readiness. And so we are also working on the fiscal year 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program. And we also internally as a city look for opportunities and to maximize our seed investments. We continue to build on cybersecurity controls on our internal infrastructure by deploying endpoint detection and response solutions that provide visibility with antivirus protection, firewall, and device control. We also deploy security information and event management tools that provide real-time analysis to security alerts generated by application and network hardware. And we continue to exercise cybersecurity awareness training for our staff. And I'm sure throughout the day, you'll be hearing from different providers as well as through different programs that can be created. It's important for us to have data backup practices in investing in that, and especially on recovery technologies. And also, one of the conversations I heard many years ago when I had a panel talking about the impacts of cybersecurity, talking to Mayor Bottoms of Atlanta and others, Christopher Krebs and other people had suggested having cyber insurance and looking at the policies that are available for municipalities in that area. The other things I would say is adjusting for security and equity, making common technology easy to access and share across our government, and to centralize and streamline some of the cybersecurity defense capabilities. We are able to, and we'll talk about this later when we have this conversation with Jonathan, is build digital government more quickly and effectively, and make sure that security and privacy isn't just part of our CTO office, but it's something that we have everyone, especially in the municipalities, engaged in. So it's something that should be the responsibilities across our different groups and departments. It's something that people may not always be aware of and people may not think about as being critical, but truly in this moment with the things that you've seen happen, and we've seen this happen in neighboring cities where people have attacked their 911 systems or other infrastructure. And because I'm also fortunate right now to be the president of the Mayor's Conference for the Alameda County, we work with our fellow cities and we work with other agencies regionally to talk about what are some of the best practices. And I also want to thank David Witowski, which joint venture Silicon Valley, we're talking about what are the policies and impacts that we're hearing from neighboring cities, from the region, and also opportunities to educate and to create awareness. Because we work together as co-chairs on the wireless initiative, we talk to other businesses, third-party providers, system integrators, as well as just the average people that are involved. And this is a field that's really rapidly changing and evolving. And hopefully we can talk about this more. I know I was watching the previous session for people who didn't know that when they were speaking. And I think it is a rare opportunity to work with workforce development. My background originally was running a trade association preventing counterfeiting. And we find that when you have umbrella organization of people working together on these policies or standardization, especially in this moment where you talk about education and the future of the workforce and how it's quickly evolving, it creates a real opportunity for us to look at what can we do with partnership with our cities. Right now, I actually just came back from a job fair that we held, and we've held this in times of COVID virtually to be able to have that connection. And then also in these moments right now where we can do outreach and build that pipeline and outreach to our junior high and high schools and create that awareness and curriculum. And there'll be more opportunities to talk about this later, but let me turn this back over to Dr. Reichental, who I've had a great opportunity to work with, and he won't be talking about this, but I want to tell you that I'm proud of his curriculum and outreach. He's even had books for our youth, and I have a copy of those. I don't have them right next to me right now. They're on my bookshelf behind me. But you know, it's where you can reach out, and the younger that we create awareness, you'd be surprised with our youth how much there is some of this interest. I worked, as I said, on preventing counterfeiting, and in Singapore, they had a program many, many years ago. They said, copy, not write, because people don't realize when you're downloading software and other things, what you could also be creating is backdoors for software exposure. So with that, back to you, Jonathan, and we look forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Mayor Mai. It's wonderful to be with you. And you did certainly sound like a cybersecurity pro there. I think everybody was very impressed and not surprised, actually. You're very knowledgeable on these important topics. What I was going to do for my quick talk here was give an update on the smart communities movement around the world. I was sharing that I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks, passed through 6 different cities in I think 5 different countries. So right now I'm in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, heading back to the US later in a few hours. So what I'm seeing here, I'll just kind of give you a quick overview. Clearly, COVID has had a big influence on the smart city movement, particularly when it relates to digitalization and internet connectivity. These were trudging along, and now they've accelerated. Everybody realized the importance of both of those. We're starting to see some very large national and multi-city efforts happening in many countries around the world. In particular, I'd like to call attention to Malaysia. Big national movement there to make smart cities across the country. Philippines and also Indonesia are countries to look towards for very progressive and aggressive strategies. I'm here in the Gulf region, and as you know, if you've been following smart cities and smart communities, Dubai has certainly been an outlier and really creating a vision for a lot of us to follow. Saudi Arabia is emerging as a powerhouse and will be an important economy in the next few years. Major social change happening here. Major construction. It's quite remarkable. Just Google NEOM and the line to get a sense of that. Most of you know about that, I think. Oman, which was sort of not on the agenda for a long time now, will emerge in the next year or two as a significant player in the smart community world, as will Australia, and is Australia. You know, they probably don't get the credit they deserve. Many of the major cities now in Australia have very progressive smart community movements. Let's not forget Europe. I've just spent time in Dublin and in Belfast. really making a big difference. Belfast just got a major investment. The Deborah, who runs the Smart Belfast organization that I've known for several years, it took her 6 years to raise the money, but she got the money. She has a lot of money, many millions of dollars now, or pounds, to spend on this effort finally. And so her efforts paid off. Persistence is a good thing. If you want to look at cities and communities in certain countries that are moving forward and have made are real leaders, but have made real progress in the sustainability side of the movement, look to the Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. I just spent some time in Copenhagen, and it's really clear that almost everything they do is done through the lens of sustainability. Let's not forget Africa. There's an organization I call Smart Africa, which is helping to elevate great efforts across the continent of Africa. A lot of work to do there. Major push in Nigeria for fast, high-speed internet across the city. That's a mega city in Lagos, I should say, in Nigeria. So what are they all focusing on? What are some of the top items here? Well, without a doubt, digitalization, right? Let's get those paper-based bureaucratic services onto smartphones. Let's onto iPads and onto the internet. Look at what happened with Dubai Now, right? Their app has 130 major digital services for the city of Dubai. That's the way to do it. Look to Dubai Now, the app. High-speed internet is a topic in communities all over the world. Here at home, back in the US, or when I get back to the US, it'll be where I'm at. We now have $65 billion to spend on making sure that everybody in the United States can get access to the internet, particularly those in rural areas that have been ignored too long. So that's going to make a massive difference to getting the United States online. But this effort to invest and build out digital infrastructure is certainly not restricted to the US. A lot of smart city efforts and smart community efforts around the world are based now through the lens of sustainability, as I said. Major work done in transitioning communities to greater solar utilization. So that's not a surprise there. Transportation is probably in the top 3. This is the one I hear a lot of leaders talk about. The traffic we experience in Silicon Valley and in the Bay Area is not unique. And if you want to see really bad traffic, come to Riyadh. It's something else. And this is not only bad traffic, but they don't really have traffic rules or lanes. So it's kind of anything goes. I told some folks the other day, I said, I don't look out the window when I'm in an Uber. I just look ahead of myself and just hope that I get to the destination. But one of the big movements is pedestrianization, right? What I like to say is giving cities back to people. And major initiatives in the center of Paris, as they make the city into an urban garden. Dublin is getting ready to experiment around, getting rid of cars in the downtown area. Bristol in the UK is another one to look to. A few more little nuggets to share with you here. In the transportation realm, let me tell you, the drones are coming. The drones are coming. And if you're a city leader, a technologist, or a provider, this is the time to be starting to prepare. In the US, the FAA is making progress on approvals for the various delivery companies. Amazon now has experimental areas, and all the other delivery companies from FedEx to UPS and beyond will start to be deploying drones for deliveries in particular. Smart districts is a way that many cities are rehabilitating beat up, rundown areas. These are areas which all over the world struggle with poverty, crime, and blight. And now we see this idea of smart districts, which help to bring sort of the physical, the economic, and the social networks together to revitalize areas. The city of Aurora, Illinois, our friends there, they made the entire city an innovation district. But you can see innovation districts in Oklahoma City, in Eindhoven in the Netherlands, and Manchester in the UK. Finally, just 2 more points I wanted to make before I wrap here and ask Mayor Lily some questions. Huge push on IoT all over the world. I'm very bullish on IoT. I think this is going to be a very big deal. The biggest utilization of the Internet of Things today is cities. We think there's about 42 billion, connected devices. About 20% of the sales right now are into cities, and that'll continue for quite a long time. Doing everything from traffic management, parking, security, trash collection, flood management, and actually thousands of use cases. So I think let's keep an eye on the IoT. And that kind of takes me to two final points. One is underlying all of this, the engine for all of this is data, right? Data is the most important asset every single city organization has, and maybe doesn't realize it. So it's time to elevate data to the place it requires in every government organization. And because of that, because of this accelerated use of IoT and increased use of data, cybersecurity is where it all comes back to. If we don't protect all this stuff, if we don't make the investments, we don't put in the talent in place, this is going to be problematic. We would build our cities and communities with extreme vulnerabilities, and we can't make that happen, and we can't let that happen. So I'm sort of happy with the progress with cybersecurity in a lot of communities around the world, but we can do better. We can invest more. We're going to do more investment here in the US, as the mayor has just shared, and the momentum is in the right direction. So those are my comments. Hope you all took that in. So, Mayor, I have a few questions for you, and I wanted to start with a non-cybersecurity question, because you are the person responsible for leading what is now one of the happiest, if not the happiest city in the United States. Could you talk about that? What does that really mean?
So I was going to say, being noted as the happiest city, and we've actually had the distinction for 4 out of the last 5 years as being the happiest city in the United States, and not Disney World or Disneyland. It's actually Fremont. But happy
Wow.
doesn't mean that we're happy every day in terms of every person, but it means that we've been putting a lot of efforts and planning into creating things like having a 25-year master park plan, having the ability to utilize in this moment when we've not been able to see each other sometimes in person, much as unfortunately as I would have loved to have seen you in person today, and being in these little boxes. We talk about the access and the importance of having the availability for equity. So when we last talked, we talked about how we were one of the cities of opportunities. And this last year, we spent time focusing on partnership with one of our healthcare providers to look at cities of opportunity, and using that data that you talked about to be able to help focus on some of our most vulnerable community members, such as those who are looking for equity and health access, looking at homelessness, looking at mental health delivery. And so we're partnering with them to look at key performance indicators. And I know in the previous conversation and session, some people talked about this. And then also, when we talk about happy and satisfaction and jobs, people don't know necessarily what types of opportunities are out there. So it's great that you have this outreach in your books to the children. But this is something that requires attention from us in the community. And it requires us in this moment, especially on workforce and labor development, to create the awareness of these opportunities. We have some real interesting synergy with looking for our partners and our companies in the area. When you build a business and the profit, it should be about building the community too. And so having internship programs, having these connections to opportunities to create access to those who are less sometimes have outreach to these areas, especially our social economic, BIPOC, as well as our working with our regional occupation programs. I know someone earlier on the previous session also talked about continuation schools. These are ways that we can create that workforce of the future. And that's why I think with IT professionals and the growth that we're seeing at this, one of the greatest risks is not having enough workers or not having the people that are prepared for that. So often it's kind of like I joke with people, it's like a lifeguard. You don't know that the lifeguard is important unless you're drowning. And so we don't want to be in that situation. We want to build that resource ahead of time. And so to create that awareness is important.
Thank you. What strikes me about your answer is, I kind of smiled going into the question, but you actually gave a very serious answer to this. And that was so important. Being the happiest city actually has some real depth to it. So thank you for sharing your story, and it's a model for so many others. Now, it's clear from your comments earlier that you take cybersecurity very seriously. and you're doing many of the right things in your city, in your community. But other mayors and other leaders are not. Why do you think we still aren't getting the attention or making cybersecurity the priority it should be in many of our communities?
Well, I think that just facing, I jokingly would say that this past couple of years being mayors for the 6 years, I'd say it's been a little bit baptism by fire hose. And so just there's so many things that are hitting us, whether it's the COVID responsiveness, the impact of homelessness, the impact of, uncertainty about the stability and the economic impacts, environmental impacts here. We've had wildfires, earthquakes, and things that have really impacted the immediate vision to us as city leaders, as city managers, but having the ability to look out further out. And besides the budget cuts or the budget increases and changes, what can we do to plan better? And I've always thought it was important for us, and that would be my advice to some of the mayors and city managers, is that the reason why we've been as a city fortunate, and not just that we're happy, but we have the matching funds coming from state and federal, is that we are utilizing the methods. I'm a Boy Scout and a Girl Scout. And so be prepared. And when we have that vision and you're able to share that and take it to your legislators or other people, they're more likely to invest and look at matching funds because we've laid the foundation and groundwork to get the approval of these processes. So I think that it's really important for us to have these stepping stones, but it also is certainly a lot stronger or more appealing to state and federal for investments when we look at an umbrella organization. Here in this region, as I mentioned, we're part of a county and we work with also Silicon Valley as a region. And when we come up with these solutions and proposals, if it seems more integrated and holistic rather than, whack-a-mole a little bit, it then creates more synergy for that investment and that vision. So I think that that's pretty critical.
Yeah, well said. Great points. A lot of people watching us today or listening to you are IT professionals. There's lots of other types of people, but there's many IT professionals. We'd love your advice. What can we do better to communicate to city leaders and decision makers the challenges of cybersecurity? What should we do?
Well, I think sometimes, I personally am my background is, just a full disclosure, is technology. So I'm a little more nerdy and wonky. And I love that vision, but that helps us when it creates that messaging. When I've had to go up for funding, I think from the city's perspective, they're always interested in how can they secure more funding or more programs that are resources to the community. And that means sometimes inviting some of your city leaders to your discussions or conversations. I know that here we are part of different organizations that present some of these visions. And I don't think, sometimes cybersecurity may seem like it's only for the data people, but if you can create a vision that addresses how it can impact lay people or the cities directly themselves, then the city management, whether the managers or the mayors or some of those other individuals, might be more encouraged to be able to participate. For me, the other thing I mentioned earlier, we had Manufacturing Week here in our city just about a couple weeks ago. And pre-pandemic, I think 15 to 20% of the tours statewide were in our city. And part of it is just having these businesses reach out to us. I am a little non-traditional, probably. I visit on non-COVID years about 50 to 60 companies a year. And I tour them for not just the ribbon cutting, the permitting, but to see and understand how can we ensure that there's a capacity. I know that many people are dealing with the challenges of workforce development. And then at the same time, we're dealing with homelessness. So by creating these types of programs where we can get people upskilled and build that pipeline, whether it's with our youth or with those who are formerly employed in different careers, and giving them that, it'll create the better synergy. Because if you say to the city, we can help you with homelessness or help you secure more funding, I think their city's leadership would be excited to come meet with you.
Wow, fabulous advice. Thank you. And I'd actually forgotten that you have a tech background. Now I'm reminded. You shared that with me before, but that's one of the reasons you're so good at this, and you get this more than so many other people. We are actually coming to our time. I wanted to skip forward a little bit. Many folks may not know that you're in election mode right now. You're running to be a senator in the California Senate. Wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you.
But I wanted to just ask you, Lan will be the first person to share this with you. We really do believe that cybersecurity is a regional thing. And, you can do it city by city, but it's not as effective as if you take a regional and then a more federal approach as well. We all have to work together. What do you think is the role of the state government in California to help with the overall posture of cybersecurity?
Well, I think that it is critical at this moment when we talk about so many of the different weaknesses. And you see that unfortunately playing out on the international stage right now with some of the ways that unfortunately some of the wars or other attacks have been given on different countries and regions. So it behooves us to be prepared and to look at that incredible investment that's needed to ensure that we are not at risk. But it also helps us propel into the future if we're able to work on regional solutions. So I think that the state has an opportunity. However, I will tell you, having been in a municipality, I think one of the things that people hate in state level is unfunded mandates or creating policies that people want you to do something, but they have no idea how you're going to fund it. But it sounds like a great idea. So I think that from the state level, if you're going to come up with policies, we need to work with our municipalities, with the city leadership, and with the local people. It's one thing to get data or information that reports out on how we should do something, but we really need to hear from the people most directly impacted, those at the local level, those who are our businesses, our communities, our schools, to understand how can we create that partnership. I think that, it's not just enough to lead by taking on the charge, but it's important that we lead by walking with people on these solutions, and that will create the better results that people want to hear and want to feel that, it's representative of their needs rather than just a dictation of what we think we feel they should do. And I see that people like funding. It sounds like, I know I did when I'm here sitting at the seat, that, it's very hard for people to just reflect on this and impact on the policies without some of the funding that's so critical. And I think that, this is a rare moment, Jonathan, you and I and all of the people that are on this call, whether you're in industry or if you're in government or if you're just a community member, to look to the federal and state with this funding coming through to say, here's our vision of how we can create a safer community and how can you help us meet this? And there's many different incentives. I think from the perspective, people want people to be employed. When people are employed, it helps your community and people are less likely to have crime. And it also creates a sense of belonging. I personally am a parent of 2 millennials and they're in their 20s. And I think people are looking for not just jobs to make money, people are looking to make a difference. And so by creating all those together on a more holistic view, I think at the state level and within our communities, I'm proud to work with all my fellow mayors all the time and with my fellow legislators. And I sometimes eat more meals with them than I do with my own family. So it's our own family that we create, but the solutions that we can build for the better, for the future is important. The biggest part in the word community is the word unity. And how do we get this together? And so hopefully next year when I see you all again, we'll be talking about how at the state level, we've been working with our regions, with our own cities, and with our businesses and creating that better direction as we move forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm inspired. I honestly, I could speak to you for a lot longer. I feel like we
I could too. I love your books, and I love the fact that you created such a different strata from everything from those who are more nerdy and wonky like me to the very, very basics for the students. So I think that you can't start too young in creating that awareness.
That's very, very kind. Very, very kind. Well, it's been a real honor. Thank you, Mayor Lily May, and thank you to Lan for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you to all.
Yeah, we'll hand you back. I think who's going to jump in here and take the reins. Thank you again.
Fabulous. As every time, Jonathan and Lily, you are such a perfect duo. If Lily is a deal next year, come back with the state level talk. Jonathan, shall we get ready for that?
I'm in. Count me in.
Indeed, all the best wishes, Lily. Vision and kind and effective leadership will win out. No matter where, right, we go, people enjoy seeing happiness. Nobody will say no to happiness. So best of wishes, and thank you for wrapping us up for day one, Jonathan and Lily. And you all, let's hope to see you tomorrow when we get to drill down on the tangible things, cybersecurity and protecting data, as well as getting small businesses all equipped for the digital era. So thank you all very much. See you tomorrow.